Hi, everyone, and welcome to TheraWin.Health, your one stop shop for exploring the beauty of culture and therapy. Today, we have with us Echo Huang. Hi, Echo, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Echo, let's start with a little introduction about yourself. Can you tell us a bit about yourself,
Mhm.
where you're from and your background?
Of course, of course. I'm currently a university student in one of the U.S. university. Before that, I grew up in China up until when I were 17. Then I went to U.S. Then I exchanged to Europe for like a semester, like half a year.
Oh, that's interesting. Can I know your experience, how it was being living there and studying in US?
Right. I think US is a pretty large culture shock. First I went to a university in Midwestern area where there's basically only a little town, a university town, and everyone leaving university. So that was like okay. And the prices are fine. It's still much more expensive that compared to where I am from, but it's still acceptable. Then I went to a large city, which is San Francisco, to study in another university, and I feel everything is very chaotic, and um, people have strong rush culture, and things are expensive and a lot of things are not convenient, such as healthcare.
Right, right. Echo, as you mentioned, that there were some struggles with accessing healthcare. So, can you tell
Right,
us a bit about yourself? Was there any experience that you had regarding it?
right. So previously, I was living in a university town. If you have insurance from the university, you can go to the university clinic, and it's very convenient. You just call them, make a reservation, and you can just go there. So it's a relatively expensive insurance, but it is very reliable. But after that, when I go to a university in San Francisco, their mm, insurance systems like they will help you cover the fee that you go to local clinic, or if you call like doctor from telehealth, they will also cover the fee. But the question is you have no idea which clinic it's covered and which clinic it's not covered in local like community, and searching for the information could be one of the difficulty. And second, even if you like let's say reach out to the clinic, it is likely that you have to wait for more than a week to actually like see the doctor, and that's not really helpful. And when it comes to teledoc health, like teledoc um, resources, like you cannot see the doctor face to face, and they're also not sure what happened to you. Let's say they just give you a prescription of $7, $70, that you have to go to the Walgreens to pick up. It's first very expensive. Second, you're not sure if it helps or not. Third, you're probably not gonna finish all the medicine, and eventually you just turn into a waste.
Right, right. I think that is like really difficult, right? And especially when we talk about healthcare, I believe it should be a basic necessity that should be, like a smooth availability should be there for everyone. So, Echo, do you think the same issue that you're facing, it's similar for people who are native in the US, or is it something that people coming from different cultures face?
I think um commonly U.S. people has family doctor, or they have the healthcare they purchase would be somehow cheaper, or because they are going to in-state university, the insurance they pay just cheaper. So I don't think for native U.S. person they have the same level of difficulty as we do, and I do think that for people who are from other cultures, who are also um, study abroad students and work abroad people, like we have the similar situation.
Okay, okay, that's really like you thrown light on a subject that were not known to us before. So thank you so much for that. So Echo, have you experienced any cultural conflict or differences between Chinese and American culture? Like, can you share any experiences?
Definitely, for sure. I think that's very obvious when it comes to social and work situation. For example, when I was in my previous university, like people parties a lot, and honestly, I wasn't sure how to party, like drinking a lot and bragging a lot, having a lot of small talk. It's just very counterintuitive for East Asian people, so I don't know how to do that. And in the work
Right.
situation, you are required to do networking, like basically talk about yourself in 30 seconds to make sure that you capture others' attention. That's also very counterintuitive for me. So I have to like learn how to do networking, learn how to social, learn how to make small talks.
Right, right. And especially, like how you mentioned that it's difficult for South Asian people when they go there. It's like a huge cultural shift. And for a student, like, partying is, it's a form of networking. And when we
Mm-hmm.
suddenly go out there and we ourselves don't know how to do it properly, it's difficult. It's difficult. Yeah, I can
I
totally
definitely agree.
get that. So, like, right. So, how did you navigate this? How did you, made sure that even though it was a huge cultural shift for you, but then you were able to fit in somewhere in the US culture and network with other people as well?
Right. Honestly, I never make sure I could feed some of the U.S. culture because like I'm always like doing that by learning. So I will not be someone that's so like confident and natural as because they're native. So like I think that I will force myself to be in a friend group that are people have the similar situation with me. For example, when I was in Netherlands, like my friends are other international students from other countries, such as India, such as Pakistan, such as Italy, such as Israel. So I like we help each other to make sure that we understand social code and we kind of make progress together.
Yeah, yeah. And the social code that you talk about, it's so much different with us and for them. And it's really important that, we find people that we connect with more so that it's easier for us to share things with them. I know that when a person shift to US, there is a lot of expectations that we get from our parents. Since we as South Asian people, we're very, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like a community based
Mm-hmm.
people, and all the people from our family, they know what we're doing. They're very interested in what we're doing. So have you felt any pressure or some sort of fear when you went to US that you have a lot of expectations on you? So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, so like I heard about this kind of culture from my boyfriend who is from Bangladesh, and he mentioned that like Pakistan and South Asian community have those in community competitiveness, like they will like to compete with each other that make each other feel pressure, which is what they learn from their culture. So which could also potentially make them uncomfortable. I think from like coming from the country of East Asian, we also have that pre-assumption that we have to be the best. We have to make a lot of achievement, and those are very stressful. But like compared to other U.S. mainstream culture, they will say that you can do whatever it's your best. You can do whatever I want you want and try your best to do that, and that's the culture difference. And how I deal with that, like it's I would say I learned to adapt to both systems. That at some part of me I still want a lot of achievement, but I also learned to deal with that, like not to let this kind of stress to overwhelm myself, and try to relax a bit to kind of be part of the a Western social culture.
And that's very important. right? Um, so I know a lot of people who have
Hmm.
faced this, so I want to ask you the same question. Has it ever happened that you are a part of a group, like a study group or something,
Right.
and people are coming up to you? So there's this stereotype, right,
Hmm.
that East Asian people or Asian people were very good with, say, maths, or we're very good with studies. So has it ever
Hmm.
come to you that they are coming to you with a stereotype that, yeah, you must be good at maths, say. So can you do this part for the
Hmm.
study group? Has it ever happened with you?
I think in my situation, it is kind of different because in my university, everyone is pretty smart. So we wouldn't say that East Asian people or Asian people in general would be good at math, but it is a stereotype that Asian kids put uh much more time or more time in studying, that they probably good at like things that you didn't take care of. So there will be people coming to me to ask me question because they think I care more, I pay more attention, and I probably know more.
So, like, um, when you were in US, were there some challenges you faced in balancing your Chinese culture identity with, assimilating in the US culture? Were there any experiences where you felt like you have to, take a step back at
Hmm.
in showcasing your Chinese culture and be more westernized?
Yes, definitely. So in most of the university, US university, there will be a Chinese community because Chinese student is just like part of US university. You can find Chinese community everywhere. So um, I sometimes don't like the competitive culture in Chinese community where people are competing GPA, they're competing grades, and they're competing experience and internship. And also like it limits my perspective to only grades, internship, and experience. So that's when I feel like I have to take a step back and see what are American students or those traditionally more competitive American students doing to increase or enhance their academic. So then I try to go to business club that are mainly um, like non-Chinese students, or I try to go to other debate society that are mainly Americans to get to know them. So, for example, I cannot relax. I always feel like I have to do something. I have to do better. I have to get more achievement. And when like my classmates they're able to relax and have parties, I feel absolutely guilty for that, and I cannot do that. I can fake enjoying the party as part of the social network skills, but I absolutely don't enjoy that.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, that happens with me as well. It's like that you really want to rest and you know that you deserve it, right?
Mm.
Everybody around you is doing it, so you also deserve it. Um, okay, so Echo, how do you cope with homesickness? I'm sure that when you moved to US, there were a lot of things that you would miss, especially the food. Right? We Asians have very different palate
Hmm.
when it comes to food. So, like, how
Right.
did you deal with homesickness and cultural adjustment?
Right. Actually, like food is one of my major therapy. Like, so I learned to cook after I study abroad because uh that's just a necessary skills, because if you don't know how to cook, you can only buy those fast food fries and hamburger. Like they're like you can call them decent, but for Asian they're like no, no way. So you have to cook for yourself.
Yeah,
You have to
it has
learn
no
to how to cook.
taste.
Yeah. And so first, I learned to cook a lot of food. Second, I know like I my Google Map it's full of like different labels because I know a lot of restaurant that are considered my comfort food. So when I feel especially stressful or homesickness, I will just go to eat like whenever like it could be like cooked by myself, or it could be going to the restaurant.
So, Echo, what kind of support system do you have when you
Mm-hmm.
were studying in San Francisco?
First, it's definitely friends that can understand your situation, and they could like provide you emotional support. Second, it's food. So, um, I when I
Mhm.
was in San Francisco, I stressed eating a lot. So after coming back to my hometown, I have to lose 5 kilograms to stay healthy. Whatever.
Yeah, right. That happens with a lot of us, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because for us, when we're at home, right, it's like food coming all the time, right? We Asians, we have a very, I would say, very great food habits when it comes to it. So, like when we move there, it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult for us to find that comfort food, and then we kind of indulge in this stress eating a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally understand. So, Echo, were you part of any community organizations there when you were studying to find people from your own background and from your own language?
Right. I think like for me, because I'm Chinese, so there's a lot of Chinese like everywhere. You can find that on social media. You can find that in local community, and there's also Chinatown in big cities. I think Chinatown is a good place for getting comfort food. But um,
Mhm.
people from the same background, it's like they can understand you, but they are not the person that probably can support you the most.
That's interesting. And can you share some insight with us when it comes to, as you said, that people are very ashamed of their own mental health, which they really can't help with, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you have health, you have mental health as well. So there's nothing to
Mm-hmm.
be ashamed of. So can you share some insights? Why does it happen? And are
Mm-hmm.
there certain communities that feel more stigmas towards it?
Um, so think that people are fear of they are not having control. They are fear of um like being considered as weak, because for example when you are experiencing depression, you are not that efficient, and you cannot like function so such highly function as you usually do. So they will afraid that this will be considered as weak. So that's why they wouldn't able to say that. um I also think that people lack of trust to others, that sometimes they are not willing to see therapists or psychiatrists, and sometimes they think whatever dilemma they're having are because of the situation and their themselves. Like they think they are very bad and do things that's not forgivable, and because they are already in this kind of depressed mood, and they think they cannot let other people know that they're unforgivable, which is not true.
Right. Yeah. And reaching out for help is really important, especially to a mental health professional. Uh, I have talked to a lot of people who are very suspective, very,
Mm-hmm.
they are not sure if they should reach out to a mental health professional since, as you said, they don't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't understand that why is it so? How come uh, we have reached to a point where we can't trust each other as human beings with sharing our own emotions? It should be necessary.
Right. So I do think that um so sometimes people are not willing to share their emotions to their families because their families wouldn't understand them. Uh, and they families might also criticize them. They are not able to share like feelings with their friends because it's just hard to express. It's very complicated, and you're not sure whether what you said will bother others. Like when you are in a pessimistic like perspective, you expect everything to go to the worst situation, you wouldn't able to trust that other will embrace you or accept you. And also like for um therapists that you have never known them before, it could be also scary because you literally don't know about this person and you're not sure whether he or she is like comfortable enough to talk with.
Yeah, yeah. And especially in this situation, we kind of feel very helpless since there is no one we can talk to. We don't have our known ones that we can share our feelings with since it's stigma attached to it. And then we also can't reach out for help in for mental health professionals. Yeah. And so Echo, what kind of stigmas do you see is there in people coming from Chinese culture when it comes to mental
Mm-hmm.
health or sharing your own feelings?
Mm-hmm. Um, so I think it's kind of the saying that um, people don't encourage tears, even it is a very effective way for your body to like relax and for your body to release emotion. And um, in China, we say that you have to try your best, try whatever you can do, try everything you can do, be um, uh, hardworking, uh, fully use every moment that you can have. So, um, when you are having depression or you are having bipolar, people and you're not that like active, people might criticizing you, or even you might criticize yourself for being lazy because you're not doing stuff and you don't understand that people cannot do stuff when they are like not in a good mood. Um, um, I feel like compared to Western culture, Eastern culture just doesn't have like very frequent emotional expression in their daily conversation. They won't talk. They will talk about like, is your job good? Is your grades good? How's your friends? But we wouldn't talk about like I miss you, I love you, I feel sad, I feel uncomfortable, and like we don't really have a way to deal with our emotion.
And emotions, yeah. And you came forward with a really important topic that uh, we have um, we have discontinued talking about our own feelings. The only thing that we talk about is our grades, our social status, how much money we're earning, and we really do not talk about how we're feeling being in that
Mm-hmm.
situation. Yeah. So, Echo, when you shifted to US, was this talking about mental health?
Mm-hmm.
Has it changed? Has it become more vocal in people? How was the difference between talking about mental health in China as well as talking it in USA?
Um, I think US are like more open to controversial ideas or generally new ideas. So US has better marketing to the whole concept of therapy and self care. So I do think that it's like um, better awareness in US. At the same time, I wouldn't say average US people are much happier than other countries because sometimes they also doesn't get the care they need.
Yeah, yeah, true that. But you know, I always think about it when we talk about self care. Self care has been with our culture, the Asian community culture, for so long, right? I think it started with us, and people in West are now using it, and they're so happy about it. But somehow we are leaving that behind. So, what are your thoughts about it?
I think in um, Asian culture, we value collectivism more. Like rather than are you okay or not, we value like what can you do for the society, what can you do for the community, what's your function as a human. But it's kind of different in US that they ask, are you feeling good? What kind of individual are you? What's special about you? So it's a societal difference, and I wouldn't say which is necessarily good or bad. But when we focus on collectivism, we could ignore those feelings and differences individual are having, which is not good for like having self care.
Yeah, yeah, true that. I think both the cultures are very important for us. As you said, that collectivism, it's all about how we can care for our own community, and
Mm-hmm.
individualism, it's like you, all the focus is on you. So
Mm-hmm.
you're, how can you take care of your mental health? How are you feeling right now? Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
true. So, Echo, are there any specific, um, Chinese culture self-care activities that you
Mm-hmm.
know while growing up and that people follow there?
One of the popular culture on the social media is like people will post um, funny, but at the same time very stress releasing content on social media, and other people like will come and say that they feel the same, and they also make jokes about it. We basically in Chinese direct translation we say that it's going crazy. So um, we are kind of suppressing emotion, so we either quiet or screaming our emotion out in somewhere else.
That's true. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I've also seen that we have very strange way of dealing with our emotions in a very funny way. We
Mm-hmm.
just make joke out of our own, how we are feeling, just to make it a bit lighter. Yeah, that's true. So, like in the span of these 3 years, have you learned anything different about yourself when which you didn't notice when you were there at your homeland, but then it suddenly popped up that, oh, it's weird how I behave this way, and I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
it when I'm in US.
Mm-hmm. So I learned that when we are in a community where everyone's are kind of alike, we have a lot of like um, structure or framework we create for ourselves that's not necessarily true. So, for example, in Chinese students, international students community, we have that like 3.5 GPA is a pass, 3.8 GPA is enough, 4.0 GPA is a good. So this is our framework, but it doesn't well applicate to other community and situation. For example, my current university, the GPA is very hard to get. If I still use that framework, it will structure myself and it will like um, constrain myself and it will give me a lot of pressure. So I have to learn to be adaptive to ask professor what do they think about GPA. What do they think GPA is important? Do you think having a low or median GPA is like matters that much? And I have to learn to bring my original framework from my community to create some new framework that will be more applicate for my situation and myself.
Right, right. So, like, so far, how do you think is the GPA situation there? Is it, you have to work really hard to get that, or you can do other things as well that are important for your personality development and still take care of your GPA?
Right. So I um learned to not take GPA as the only recognition. Even the GPA is low, it doesn't mean that you are not good enough because the evaluation systems can also go wrong in all directions. Their judgment on you are not necessarily fair, but at the same time, to make yourself competitive, you can build a more comprehensive portfolio about yourself that can present your skills and value. You can pursue more different opportunity and networking to make sure that someone are willing to recommend you, to put you and send you in those places where you cannot go into with just a GPA.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. So, Echo, when you were studying there, did you find yourself, putting more efforts to get the same GPA that you used to get
Mm-hmm.
back in China with the same effort, or is it comparatively easier to score in US?
So I haven't been to a Chinese university. um, I would say that different university in US has different level of difficulty of getting the same GPA, and um, in the end, people should care about their GPA based on their situation instead of pursuing the only recognition of GPA.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Right. So I think we have talked a lot about the studies. Let's talk
Hmm.
about other college activities as well. So,
Of
Echo,
course.
have you faced any difficulties in making friends when you were there, when you just shifted to US?
Yes, of course. So, my difficulty is like I have a diverse range of friends. So, because when I first go to US, my friends are mainly from like Chinese community, and it's very hard to get like ideas that are outside of the box or ideas that are um, much different from my original framework. So when I try to make some US friend or friends from other countries, I don't know where to meet them, and I don't know how to social with them because they also have their own community that are kind of resistant to culture differences, that they also feel reluctant to try harder to get friends from other culture community. You have to overcome the culture differences to go to other culture community. Second, they also have to try to overcome the culture difference to accept you, and that could be difficult as well.
Yeah, right. And does that thing happens with Chinese community as well? Say there are people there are students from Chinese culture,
Mhm.
and when a native US student approaches them, do they also feel, that
They,
they have their own mindset of
they do.
things, or does that happen with specifically with native? They do.
They do feel that
Yeah.
like if you have a Chinese students organization, they also don't want to take like US students because then they cannot speak Chinese in, let's say, public meeting.
Do you think the language that we speak and the language that we're comfortable speaking is kind of disadvantaging us in making friends with other culture?
Oh, that definitely happens. So like first, even we are studying abroad, like it doesn't necessarily mean that our English are fully fluent. It's still having like most of the time it's still difficult for most of the students. So after you practice a lot and you're comfortable with that, the way people think is to be different. For example, US English could be really confronting and really direct. And when I'm trying to say that in Chinese, there's just no such expression. And I also have to be confronting like they do, which is not how I feel from my personality. So that could be one of the difficulty.
Have you ever felt that living in US has kind of, and meeting with other people, meeting with new people coming from different cultures, has kind of changed your long-term goal that you that you had set previously, but now since you're exposed to more ideas, it kind of has changed?
Yes. So I definitely learned to think outside of the box. So I learned that there's much more things to do other than just my tiny framework. And I try to explore more option, more social group, and more networking. So I think this is what multicultural could bring to people. Like they make people explorative.
Right, right. So what are you aspiring to do?
Um, so I think like compared to traditional Chinese students, there are like usually going for an work visa, a high paying job, uh investment banking career. So like I am doing social impact and setting that as my career goal, that is already an outlier behavior, like for Chinese students, Chinese international students. Um, uh, and I am still exploring a lot of ways to do social impacts rather than just doing internship and um, research.
That's so beautiful that you have unlearned a lot of things that were previously said to you, and you were able to break that barrier, right? That there's no one framework that all people from our culture has to fit in. You can obviously be much more than that. That's beautiful, and I'm so happy that you chose to go down that path, and I really wish you luck. Is there any specific area that you are looking to target for the social impact journey that you're about to have?
Right. I'm currently like targeting policy analysis because I feel like when you like a lot of the issue is caused by the structure of the system. For example, um, like U.S. system rewarded people who like has more money, which might lead to or could lead to in wealth inequality, that you have very wealthy people living in the like top apartment in skyscrapers in like large cities, but you also have so many homeless people. So if you want to change their situation and life like systematically, you need to somehow change the structure. So policy analysis like allow me to analyze what is the good side and the downside of the policy and make relevant changes. So I would say that that's my theory of change.
That's such an interesting subject to study. I never thought about it that we can create impact in this way, and I think it's like the core of the problem that we're talking about. That's a very heavy topic to settle in. And
Mm-hmm.
I really want to talk about this a lot with you. I really want to understand your insights. So it's interesting. Yeah. Do you know somebody who is coming from the Asian culture and finding any difficulty in finding the right therapist that understands them better?
um I think everyone has the difficulty to do that. Eventually, I found a remote therapist from my country, so we called each other like once a week or whatever. Like my friends in like Europe, she will say like she cannot communicate to Dutch therapists; they doesn't understand us at all.
It's a very straightforward question,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but do you think it was a great decision for you to come to US and leave your homeland? Was it
Right.
worth it?
So it worth it. So because like if you go to US, you have a lot of other possibilities that you can go to a lot of different university, study different subject, and learn, get in touch with different things. Like your life would not be a single framework. It will be so many like things you can do. So um, like um, whatever cannot kill you can make you stronger. Like that's unavoidable, but it's also like very annoying.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and the part that you said that it helps our horizon to be more broad, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think the struggles, it's there in our homeland as well, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's basically a choice that we make, that where do we want to suffer, and where do we think that it's going to be worth it, it's going to have more, broaden our perspective better. Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
So, Echo, do you have any advice for people or for international students from China who have recently moved to US?
Right. So my suggestion is to like get exposed to as many things as possible, as much experience as possible, and um, yeah, to try their way out, not to constrain themselves in a single framework.
Mhm. Right.
Mm-hmm,
If you had the chance to visit US for the first time again, if we take you back
mm-hmm.
to the time, what would you do differently?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything I can do to differently, like because I like try my best to explore things as possible, like already do that.
Okay, so I think we have discussed a lot of topics
Mm-hmm.
so far, and I really enjoy talking to you a lot. It's
Thank you.
great hearing your perspective about so many things, and I am just so it's so heartwarming that you're so young and you think so much about social impact, and you're so confident in sharing your ideas with the world. It's amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I also enjoy your conversation. I think you're very friendly and like you communicate well.
We can end this conversation here,
Mm-hmm.
and I really hope to connect with you further. Yeah, outside
Yeah,
this conversation, outside the
of course.
podcast or anywhere. I would love to.
Of course, of course.